In almost every country, you'll find an alcoholic drink which is illegally made. Poteen, a clear and potent, unmatured whisky, has been distilled in Ireland for at least 200 years. Though no written proof exists before the 16th century, it is widely accepted that Uisce Beatha originated in Ireland towards the end of the first millennium. It is said that the Normans encountered this fiery spirit when invading Ireland during the 12th century, and that it was they who anglicised Uisce Beatha to whisky. By the 17th century, whisky making was commonplace. In rural areas, most people distilled their own, while at the same time there was at least one distillery in each large town. For some, Christmas Day 1661 marks the beginning of the long history of illicit distillation in Ireland. Taxation on alcohol was introduced by the British government on that date, and it applied to Ireland shortly afterwards. Others trace the origins of illicit distillation to 1760, which was when private distillation was outlawed. Distillers had to obtain a license, and this, the government hoped, would make it easier for their excise men, or gaugers, to collect the tax. Whether it all began in 1661 or 1760, Poteen, as the illicit whisky became known, has been with us ever since. The process of poteen making, however, was updated in the latter half of the 20th century. Modern distillers no longer use the kiln, ruins of which are now the only visible pointers to the traditional craft of poteen making in Connemara on Ireland's west coast.
Je gaat Poteen gewoon eens vader, je gaat niet aan de macht. Ze de vloer vader, ben je zwielen gaan. En je naast de Amerika niet goed je. Dit hij je naast de Amerika niet goed je. Maar we zouden ik dacht door die koreinen ben deze daar weer de vloer. We zijn nu bewegen. We checken bij die bandje, de toren. We checken bij die baasje. We checken bij die gelijke tot punt down. We staan samen haar aan. Dan het Poteen en de horen. Dus begin genoeg alles hier aan de hoor. Jan de Gras en de Maide.
Many ingredients have been used to make poteen down the years, including, apparently, molasses, sugar beet, treacle, rice and potatoes. But poteen, like all whiskies, was traditionally distilled from grain, usually barley. The first stage in traditional poteen making was to steep the barley in a lake, a river or a bog hole. 200 weight or 16 stone of barley would normally yield between 5 and 6 gallons of poteen, and that was the smallest amount of barley steeped at a time. 2 stone of oats, for use at a later stage, was steeped with every 200 weight of barley. The sacks of barley and oats were allowed to soak for a night and a day before being removed and left to drain overnight. On being removed from the water, the barley and oats soon began to germinate. During germination, or malting, the starch in the barley was converted to sugar, which in turn was converted to alcohol at a later stage. As soon as the grain was sprouted, the sacks of malting barley and oats were spilt out separately onto a clean floor and then spread evenly across the floor. The malting barley was left sprouting for at least 8 days. To ensure each grain sprouted evenly, the barley and oats were turned each evening. Then, in order to stop germination, the oats and malted barley or malt had to be dried in a kiln.